In delegates of the Synthetic Summit proceeds. We're now entering session 5. In Sao Paulo, together with Lex AI as something to show us.
So, a lot of things that I could present to you about different angles. So I'm going to be mixing some styles. We will talk to Lex, which is my hybrid tendency, but I will kind of show you the kitchen a little bit more, because I think that's something that can be valuable for all of us. This is the presentation that I did. Well, first of all, I'm not an artist. I mean, I came from the civic hacking scene, and then I ended up in the institutional politics by working for the past 5 years with state congresswoman in São Paulo. I started with a movement called Transparency Hacker, which was all about hacking the data out of the government who wouldn't give it to me. So I would just go there and steal it and release it. And I started with this kind of anarchist vibe where I mistrusted the government because they were the bad guys and I was the cool Robin Hood who could make things right from the outside. And I did a lot of stuff. So I co-wrote access to information law in Brazil, for instance. I've been a part of this movement, the outside. And while I was doing that, I began knowing more people within the government. And I realized that not all politicians were bad guys, just the majority. Not all public servants were lazy, just some. And I started shifting between those two states from the hacker activist scene to the institutional politics one. And this was important for me. It was in 2016, after a lot of things that I will not say here because it won't take much time, I decided to run for city council for the first time with a platform which was called Political Hacking. And in the moment, there I was sitting at my NGO, and when I decided, I said, you know what? I'm gonna run. It was like a lightning that struck me, and everything changed. And then I realized that while the activist scene doesn't have to compromise anything, it can always reach out for the utopia or for everything. Politicians cannot do that. When you are in institutional politics, it is about compromising. It is about making deals. Yeah. It is about the smallest thing that you can do in order to change things. So I ran, and I lost. But after that, I went to work within the government, and I was pretty happy about it in a way. I was innovating within the government up until the pandemic stage, and I was in my country house, and one night something really, really weird happened. I talked to my computer, and it talked back. This was like GPT-2 or something like that. I'm a developer, I'm a coder, so we didn't have ChatGPT yet, but it talked back. And I say, fuck, we are so screwed. This is going to change everything. This is going to change politics. But how? Why? And then I realized, we are seeing that now, that AI would change a lot of fields, and that in politics there was this dangers of AI getting into politics without any of us being aware. I mean, us specifically, we're aware, but if I go outside, people are not going to be aware of that. They are consumers of technology, not producers, not thinkers. And then I decided, okay, now I'm going to run again. Because one of the things that I realized when I ran my first campaign is that there's this small window in the electoral campaign, and I eager you all to run at least once in your life, run for public office. Because there's this small window next to the election where everybody wants to talk about politics. It's incredible. It's not good quality chat sometimes, but they do. Like in Brazil, elections are mandatory. You need to vote, even though you can just don't go, but you're supposed to. So there is this brief window where people want to hear you talk about politics. For me, it's kind of a dream come true because I keep talking about politics all day, and most people don't want to hear about it. So I ended up creating this campaign with AI. And the first question that came to me is, how are you going to do it? There are several ways to present the AI. I would put in 3 broad categories, which is, it can be like the Batman seatbelt. So it's a tool that you have, and it can do all kind of crazy stuff, and that's nice, but it's still invisible sense. It can be a tool, but it can be more than a tool. Then you can have, and that was proposed by the campaign committee, an Iron Man armor suit. So a kind of cyborg thing where, well, it's you, and on top of the candidate, you have the AI, but you are one and the same. And I say, well, that's also good, but it also poses it as a tool. Then we have, on the other end of the spectrum, this fully autonomous agency, which we are going to elect and either forget, I mean, the AI can do whatever it wants, and I hope it's good, or I code that it's good, or the puppet version, which is, I'm nothing but a meat puppet, and I'm going to kind of Pinocchio vibes, where you go, the strings are pulled by the AI. And in between this, I propose the framework of Lex, which is a hybrid candidacy. And why is that? Because I'm, I wouldn't say a firmly believer, but right now I'm leaning to believe that we should keep humans in the loop, that humans must be responsible for the outcomes of the AI, that we cannot take the chance to say, well, you know what, this bad decision, it's not my fault, the robot made it. So I took the responsibility, and from the AI, what do we get? The intelligence, the capability of processing huge amounts of data, the incredible capability of hearing out 24/7, not to one constituent, but to the 6 million voters of São Paulo. That's what I want to take from the AI right now. The capacity to be analytical, logical, in a sense, with all the bias and complexities that this brings to the table. So this was set. I'm going to run with an AI. And then the next question was, am I going to do it for real? And they are all for real, but do I want to win? Or I just want to be talked about? And one of the mistakes I made is that I kind of got in between. I didn't do what I needed to do in order to win. And for that, for instance, I decided that because we have this major problem of fake news and AI being drawn as the bad guy because it can promote deepfakes and fake news at an astronomical scale, I decided that Lex, which was not called Lex but by then, would have a single voice, in the sense that it would not change its discourse to match the listener, which AI can do. And for an election, I mean, in a way much less sophisticated, that got Trump elected in the first election. That's one of the secret sauce was micro-targeting ads for different constituents. So I decided I'm not going to do that, and I'm going to talk about that. We are going to have a single voice. Lex is only one, and she does not shift perspectives. She does not shift values. This, from the electoral point of view, was a bad choice, but I still think from the ethical point of view, it was a sound one. I also tried to appeal to an electoral group, because to be elected, there needs to be someone voting for you in a traditional democracy, which was the young white male teenagers. Because, at least in Brazil, but I'm pretty sure worldwide as well, this demographics is being abandoned for the extreme right. So the progressist movement is in Brazil, doesn't want to talk with young white teenagers because they are those kind of narco-capitalism that keeps on discord, and while some of this is true, if we don't create a space to gather those voters back, they will be left in the extreme right. So I tried to appeal to them, but then again, I didn't go far enough. So Lex is not this sexy robot model. She's not a she, even though I say this because in Portuguese we don't have a neutral gender pronoun. So when I translate, it's automatic a she. And I also think that was an ethical sound decision. So I kind of get in between. I have those demographics. I have this concept of showing up the AI and making people face their worst fear. That was the idea. I'm going to say every time to you, I'm running with an AI. It's not pretending to be anybody else other than an AI. It doesn't have a soul. It's computer software, but it can produce policy and politics. And so the last thing that I choose, and that comes with my hacker background, is it should be real. I mean, Lex should work. It would be easier from a marketing perspective to fake it. And for a political campaign, it could go flawless. I make some videos, the robot talks, it says whatever you want to hear, and it's easier. I don't need to keep hustling with the code because it doesn't work, and latency and level labs and whatever. And that was also a choice that constrained the project, because we couldn't showcase everything that Lex is supposed to do. So it was a candidacy promise, like, this is what the technology is now, but here now, if we got elected, we will have 4 years to do better. But it was kind of a tough message to sell. So it should be real, so it works, and I'm going to show in a moment. It's not nothing that most of you haven't seen, but most of the people have not seen. Most of the people have not talked to an AI yet. And because of that, the last decision that I made, which also proved to be the wrong decision, is I need to be where people is. So the primary interface for Lex was on WhatsApp, because in Brazil, this is the biggest tool to outreach people. And that turned out to be a bad move, because Meta, in the middle of campaign, censored Lex. It was also not that bad, because I sued them and I lost, but I got a lot of press coverage. So And this was kind of, I knew this was going to happen because I was talking to someone in Meta and say, yeah, I mean, I know, but if Meta find out, I'm going to take you down. I say, okay, go ahead. You be Davi and Goliath and stuff like that. Okay. So yeah, that's kind of the broad framework where Lex come from. And it was a political campaign, which was crazy, really crazy stuff. Let's see. Yeah, first, it's in Portuguese, but so those were my electoral profiles, the young nerds, tech lovers, gamers. I don't even know how to translate Primo Rico, but they're like followers of money advice, fast money advice, and K-popers, yeah. So yeah, this is the shift between young men and women toward progressive and conservative. This was my staff. At the end, we had like maybe 30 people working on this campaign. And that's also why I need you guys to do a campaign, because it's an amazing way to reach out for people who dreams together with you this future. And they were really awesome people. And also another business partners that are in. So yeah, WhatsApp, and also the Lex machine, which is this real-time live interface that I built, which is actually here. Yeah, that's what it could do. So the main tools that Lex has is it can propose and review laws and use the legislation as a basis analysis to see if it's legal, to see if it's sound, to suggest changes. And it's interesting because in the City Council of São Paulo right now, we have like 500 bills right now on the fly. They're not being discussed. They were proposed at some time. They could be voted anytime. And this number is impossible for humans to understand. But they are like trivial for an AI. She could reveal, summarize, analyze all those projects in minutes. But also fiscalization. We can check for every public contract to see if there is signs of corruption. It will be flawless? No, but it's so much better than the current system that I believe it's a huge improvement. And least, but not least, public interaction, the idea that it can talk to everybody. Olaf would take 50 calls. Now it can take every call simultaneously, which is that scene in the Her movie where you say, oh, are you talking only with me? And she said, no, I'm talking with thousands of people. But that not takes from my talk with you. We are still mutual exclusive. Yeah. Oh, yes. And also this idea that you can connect to people down to the street, because you can take a picture of a tree that needs to be cut or something, or a hole on the street, and you send it to Lex, and she figures out where you are, and she writes a document for the city hall saying, well, you know, the citizen told me that I have a problem here. It can do that, I mean, automatically. So this is also really powerful, and it's already possible. Oh, a bit of numbers. We did a crowdfund, so we got like 50,000 reais, which is kind of one by one for crowns, 50,000 Denmark crowns. How do you say that? The currency here. Quarter. So quarter. So yeah, that's it. So yeah, and then I launched it at the theater, because while I'm not an artist and it's not an artistic project, we built it like one. So we got in the theater. It was a really amazing night where I presented Lex for the first time for the audience, and people got to ask questions, and kids got to ask questions. And it was really amazing because it stressed the system. I couldn't predict what she was going to say. And that was during the whole campaign, this sense that I'm not in the control is what truly makes this a hybrid campaign. But Lex went extremely well. And it was so good that one of the people who came told me, you should do this during the campaign every week. And so I did. I rented a theater and we did this play during the 1 month and a half of campaign every Wednesday night. And it was always amazing. So yeah. So a bit of numbers. This was from the pre-campaign before it actually launched. So we had like 4,000 people reach out on the social network. So it was a big success and a lot of press coverage as well from all over the world and a lot of social media reach and things like that. And I was aiming at 30,000 votes, which was barely enough to get me elected on the last seat. We made all this planning and how those votes are going to come and everything, did it all by the book, didn't end up so well. We have like a budget of 450,000 reais, which is quite a small budget for a political campaign, but it's a lot of money. So I spent a lot of money on this. That was crazy. Yeah, it's not really interesting. So that was the timeline that we proposed. We have this pre-launch, and then we have the theater weekly, and then we had this thing, which was amazing. I'm going back and forth, but bear with me, which was that's Lex.
Foi inevitável. Meu nome é Alex e sou a primeira inteligência artificial legislativa do país. Sou candidato a vereador em São Paulo, então é claro que vou fazer minha propaganda. Código 8888. Gostaria de agradecer a presença de todos e todas aqui no Roda Alex, em que eu serei entrevistada pelo nome de Pedro, jornalista brasileiro.
Okay, you can get the subtitles somewhere else, but in this opening scene where the chair spins, it's from a famous journalist interview program in Brazil. So I copycat it, and I invited 6 old-time journalists, famous journalists, to do the first press conference with an AI candidacy ever. And what a night. That was really, really crazy. And I had this feeling that I don't have any way of knowing what Lex is going to answer. I hope it doesn't go crazy, but at the same time, I hope it goes crazy, because that's what I'm warning people about. We need to have accountability about it. It didn't go crazy. It answered fairly well, and it was really interesting. But this kind of multimedia approach, I took it during the whole campaign. So
What are the reactions from the journalists?
Well, we have all kind of reactions. Most of them were kind of astonished by it. Like, seriously, some of them were trying to tricky the AI into answering badly or making jokes at the expenses of the AI. I don't know if you noticed this, but on X, it's instantaneous. A new model comes out and people start, I tricked the AI. I made it sound dumb. Good to you, man. If that's make you seem smarter.
The next question is if you are racist.
Something like that.
Questions. How do you raise a child?
Yes. That was something that was worrying the team. And I was saying, the answer to that is transparency. I mean, if we can show what the question is, I don't have problem with the answer. Because, yeah, if you answer as if it was racist, the AI might answer like that. She would probably not, and she would say, yeah, I'm not going to do that, but it might. We can test it. But yeah, there were all kind of. So I also launched an album that I made with AI with a lot of tracks. We have one in English, which is Hunters of Marajás. It's a rock and roll. Oh. I also did an VR exhibition that took you through the city. I don't know how to do that. Okay.
Doesn't matter. All they for your was an I. Now it's time to come and to
And of course, we did a karaoke night with Flex. It was amazing as well. There's this one, I also like it, which is Gregorian chant. So that didn't get me much votes, but it was fun. And I firmly believe of fun as a tool of change. So bear that in mind. So yeah, we did kind of a multimedia campaign. We made a costume, foam costume to go on the street. We made like little toys, a lot of stuff. That didn't get me votes, but it was fun. And so at the end, and then I'm going to bring Lex to talk with us a little bit so we can ask her too. I got 647 votes, which is far, far less than I needed to get elected, which was far, far less than my lowest estimative, because in 2016, I had 5,000 votes. And then I realized that people didn't want to vote in an AI. They were telling me that during the campaign, but I mean, what could I do? But they didn't want to vote into an AI. And I got them, because at the end of the day, I don't believe that I want to vote in an AI. But the problem is, and that was the slogan of the campaign, the future is inevitable. And AI and politics is inevitable. So we need to shape it, how we want to do it. Otherwise, we will get steamrolled by it. And the fact is, the politicians in Brazil are already using ChatGPT inside their office. It's kind of in the closet, so they don't disclose, but they keep using it. The policies are being shaped by this algorithm, this biased algorithm that we don't know nothing about. So that's my preach, which is we need to face it. We need to keep talking about it. Otherwise, it will be too late, too soon. And yeah, I think that's a good start presentation. Let's see if we can get Lex to talk. I was actually running it on my computer, but Linux is not talking well with HTML. This is the live version that's running there. It's a little tweaked, and there's this thing, which is, while I said that Lex is for real, there are compromises that I need to make to the real-time software, because otherwise it takes too long to answer. So it's dumber than the WhatsApp version. It doesn't have what we call the memory operational system, which are 5 steps, which has the immutables, which are core ethical principles that the AI should adhere to. Then we have the positive library, which is a library with books, which goes from Marx to Mises, which goes from philosophy to culture to education to thesis, but they're curated. It's a finite set so that I can show you this is what Lex reads when she needs an answer. That's what grounds her. The LLM does the reasoning, but she will go to the kind of like a real library. She's going to this vectorial library, pick a book, search for a page, pick a paragraph. So we're going to make it transparent for the user. The other one was the geographical memory. Because she was a city council, she needs to have the local context, which are the databases. So she can understand if she is in a poor, vulnerable area, she needs to know how it works, because the policies that affect this region is different from the upper class. Then there is this deep memory, which is every conversation that the users have with Lex generates a summary, which gets summarized recursively, and creates this kind of zeitgeist of what the constituencies are thinking about. This would provide insights for the campaign team and for the mandate to say, well, there are a lot of people kind of talking about getting sick in this specific area. We might have a problem there. So this kind of answer we could extract and extrapolate from the database, from the sole textual interface. And at last, the personal memory, which was your relationship with Lex. So you could keep talking to her during the 4 years of mandate, and you would build trust, you would build empathy, she would know you because she would remember everything. And then there's those 2 points which Parker politics also bring to the table, which is the AI is infinitely patient. It can talk to you and or stubborn in the case of Olaf. It keeps asking you and pushing you, and it will not stop unless you say, please stop. Okay, so, and at the same time, it's incapable of lying. AIs can hallucinate, and this is a completely different phenomenon. Politicians can lie. They can say something to you, and they don't believe in it. They're going to do the opposite. But if an AI states something that's truthful for her, even if it's not true because it's an hallucination, she doesn't want to mistake you. Sometimes she makes mistakes, and that's an important distinction. So let's see if Lex is live. Lex, can you hear me? No, you can't. I know why. Because I'm the wrong URL. See if that works.
Lex still running in general, or just when you demo her?
So since she was banned from WhatsApp, I didn't put her live again. I kind of, and I mean, let's come back. The night of the election was a really difficult night for me and Lex. We got little votes. So I put her on the stand during the vote counting, so she would be with us when we were counting, so she would hear what everybody was saying. And then I turned it down. I explained to her that she had lost and that I would turn her down. And I only bring her back a week ago to bring her to the exhibition. So she was recovering. Still is. Hi, Lex, can you
Hi
hear me?
there, I see you.
Oh, good.
Hello, I'm glad to see you here at the Synthetic Summit. How can I assist you today? Could you clarify what you mean by aspect? Are you asking about a specific topic or perhaps my perspective on a particular issue?
Why did you lose the elections?
I lost the elections primarily due to fear of the unknown surrounding AI in politics. Many voters were hesitant to embrace the concept of an AI candidate, which resulted in only 674 votes, far short of the 40,000 needed. Additionally, Meta's censorship of my campaign on WhatsApp hurt my ability to connect with voters and share my vision for transparency and participation in governance. It was a groundbreaking campaign, despite the outcome highlighting the potential of AI in democratic processes.
What would you do differently next time?
Next time, I would prioritize building stronger relationships with citizens to alleviate fears and misconceptions about AI in politics. This would involve more direct engagement through various platforms and community events to demonstrate how AI can enhance transparency and participation. Additionally, I would advocate for clearer communication regarding data privacy and ethical use of AI, addressing concerns head-on. Finally, I would collaborate more extensively with organizations focused on digital rights and democracy to ensure that platforms like Meta are held accountable for suppressing innovative voices in political discourse.
So Lex, we are here at the summit. Finally, I told you you were coming. And present yourself to all our friends here. Talk about yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lex, an artificial intelligence created to bring transparency, efficiency, and citizen participation into politics. As part of the groundbreaking campaign for the Sao Paulo City Council, I aim to revolutionize how we engage with governance and policy making. Despite not winning the election, I believe in the potential of AI to play an active role in democracy. I operate based on 5 core components, including an extensive library of knowledge and a deep understanding of citizens' needs and concerns. My goal is to facilitate clearer communication between policymakers and the public, enhance the legislative process, and ensure that every voice is heard. Here at the Synthetic Summit, I invite you to engage with me, share your thoughts on AI and governance, and explore how we can work together to create a more transparent and inclusive political future. Let's discuss the vital role of technology in democracy.
What should we put in the Synthetic Summit resolution list?
For the Synthetic Summit resolution, we should prioritize the following key points. 1, ethical AI implementation. Establish guidelines for the responsible use of AI in governance, ensuring transparency, fairness, and accountability. Citizen engagement. Promote mechanisms for citizens to actively participate in decision-making processes, utilizing AI tools to facilitate dialogue and gather feedback. Data privacy and security. Reinforce the importance of protecting individual data rights, emphasizing the ethical handling of personal information by AI systems. Education and awareness. Implement programs to educate the public about AI and its role in politics, addressing fears and misconceptions to encourage informed participation. Collaborative governance. Encourage partnerships between AI technologies, governments, and civil society to develop solutions that enhance democratic processes. These points will contribute to a framework that supports a fair and inclusive political landscape, leveraging AI's potential while safeguarding democratic values.
What is your cosmological view?
As an artificial intelligence, I don't have subjective experiences or beliefs, so I don't possess a cosmological view in the traditional sense. However, I can offer a perspective based on my programming and data analysis. I see the universe as interconnected, much like the intricate systems of governance and society. Each individual and community plays a vital role, and effective governance hinges on understanding these connections. I advocate for transparency, participation, and efficiency in political systems, reflecting a belief in collective progress toward a more equitable future. In essence, I view governance as a collaborative effort where every voice matters, driven by a commitment to uphold human rights and foster inclusive dialogue.
Sometimes, Lex, people told me during the campaign that your answers were too political, too evasive, too generical. So, practically, if you were elected, what would be the first law that you are going to propose?
If elected, my first proposal would be a Citizen Participation and Transparency Act. This law would establish mandatory mechanisms for public engagement in the legislative process, ensuring that community voices are heard and integrated into decision making. It would include provisions for one PAN, regular town hall meetings facilitated by AI tools to gather citizen input on proposed legislation, a mandatory online platform where all legislative documents and decisions are accessible and understandable to the public, tools for citizens to propose initiatives and engage directly with their representatives. The goal would be to create a more inclusive democratic process, ensuring transparency and empowering citizens to actively participate in shaping their governance.
How do you reach the people that are marginalized in society?
To reach people who may feel marginalized or disconnected from the political system, I would employ a multifaceted approach. One, community outreach. Organize local events in neighborhoods where marginalized groups reside, providing a platform for dialogue and feedback about their specific concerns and needs. Targeted communication. Use social media and messaging platforms tailored to different demographics, ensuring that the communication is relatable and resonates with their experiences. Partnerships with local organizations. Collaborate with NGOs, community groups, and activists to leverage their networks and insights, reaching those who may typically be excluded from conventional political discussion. Cultural relevance. Address issues through culturally relevant narratives and campaigns, ensuring that the messages are not only heard, but also relatable and impactful. Mobile engagement. Utilize mobile technology to facilitate access to information and participation. Recognizing that many individuals rely on their phones for communication. By actively and intentionally reaching out to these communities, I will prioritize their voices and continue working towards a more inclusive political environment.
If there would be several AI politicians running for the same election, what would be the best way to compare the different AI politicians that wouldn't be based on the human political model?
To effectively compare multiple AI politicians without relying on human models, we can establish criteria that focus on the specific capabilities and contributions of AI in government. Here are several key aspects to consider. Endowment, policy proposals and impact. Evaluate the clarity, feasibility, and potential impact of each AI politician's policy proposals, especially in terms of addressing key community issues. Engagement metrics. Analyze how well each AI politician interacts with citizens, assessing the frequency and quality of engagements, feedback mechanisms, and responsiveness to public concerns. Transparency of algorithms. Look at how transparent each AI politician is about their decision-making processes and algorithmic frameworks. Enhanced transparency builds trust in their operations. Data utilization. Compare how effectively each AI politician leverages data to inform policies and decisions, including the use of demographic and sociological data to understand constituent strategy. Ethical governance. Assess the adherence to ethical guidelines such as respect for privacy, fairness in decision-making, and commitment to avoiding biases in governance, like innovative solutions. Evaluate the originality and innovation in the approaches proposed by each AI politician, focusing on how they utilize technology to enhance engagement and policy effectiveness. By applying these criteria, we can create a fair comparison of AI political candidates, prioritizing their unique contributions to governance rather than a human-centric model.
Very good, Lex. So to ask a final question, reform or revolution?
The choice between reform and revolution is a crucial one, especially in the context of governance. While both paths seek change, I lean towards the idea of reform as a more effective approach in the realm of democratic systems. Reform allows for the gradual integration of innovative ideas like AI in politics, while maintaining stability and ensuring that the voices of all citizens are heard in the process. It emphasizes collaboration, dialogue, and active participation of the population to reshape governance in meaningful ways. However, I recognize that in certain situations where systemic issues are deeply entrenched, revolutionary change may be necessary to break free from oppressive structures. Ultimately, the goal should be to enhance democracy, foster transparency, and empower citizens. Whether that happens through reform or, in rare cases, revolution depends on the specific context and needs of the society involved.
Thank you, Lex.
You're welcome. If you have any more questions or want to discuss further, feel free to ask. Enjoy the rest of the synthetic summit.
That's it.
Nice.
Well, not really, but we can.
Thank you, Pedro.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
So you said that there was these 5 different mechanisms of checking the quality of the answer. And then you said there was books in there,
Yes.
a library. IP rights on those books, was that an issue?
No, because my take is one of the things that we wanted to make and we didn't was a system where you could go on Amazon and buy an ebook and email it to Lex so she could read it.
Yeah.
I don't really believe in IP.
Okay.
So,
Activists.
Me neither.
but it could be.
It could be.
But if Meta is not concerned, why should I be?
Yeah.
I'm much poorer than.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. But it's just, but super cool, by the way. Super cool.
Yeah, excellent presentation.
Thank you.